Hello everyone, this is D100 Superfan back with another video. Today we'll be doing an overview and review of the D100 Dungeon, The Dragon's Return campaign expansion book for D100 Dungeon solo adventure game by Martin Knight. The Dragon's Return is a great addition to your D100 Dungeon library as it contains a wealth of content to challenge, imperil, and empower your veteran adventurer. In keeping with the spirit of the other D100 Dungeon releases, Mr. Martin Knight really goes out of his way to give you two things with The Dragon's Return: more and better. A more fleshed out and better second campaign await you to make your adventurer part of the history and lore of the D100 Dungeon world. A more robust and better integrated side quests table offers its rewards to adventurers who can meet its challenges. Also included is an entirely new encounter table to challenge the adventurer with new monsters, as well as including the entirety of the previous two encounter tables with rules to use this new all-inclusive encounter table to really fine-tune your enemy encounters during your adventures in D100 Dungeon. And exciting new combat and equipment options await you through mastery of the new Martial Artistry system. Before we get into the overview of the contents itself, let's talk about who this book is for. The Dragon's Return campaign, side quests, enemy encounter table, and the new martial artistry system are all aimed at veteran adventurers. That is to say, your adventurer should probably have done a few quests or may have even completed the first campaign included in the D100 Dungeon Adventures Companion by the time they start looking to take on the content included in the Dragon's Return book. That being said, the new encounter table and the new martial artistry system are definitely must-haves for any and every D100 Dungeon player. Understand that the campaign, quests, and side quests included in the Dragon's Return are the most difficult to offer in the entirety of the D100 Dungeon library so far. While the challenge is formidable, the adventure, campaign, side quests, and rewards have been ramped up to a level never before seen in D100 Dungeon. All that being said, let's get into the overview of the book itself and its contents. The Dragon's Return book opens with a description of West Point, the land in which we will be adventuring in the Dragon's Return campaign and side quests. In addition to a wonderfully illustrated and labeled with landmarks, there's a map of West Point showing the various locations we will be traveling to during our adventures, as well as some backstory of some of the races that inhabit West Point, including the Dark Elves, the Beastmen, and Orcs and Humans. We can also read some of their history and learn a little bit more about their place in this particular region of the world of D100 Dungeon. Just before we get into the introductory story of the Dragon's Return campaign, there is a section detailing the rules in actually playing the campaign and the side quests, which are now integrated into the path you'll take through the main campaign. Much like Campaign 1, The Goblin and the Goblet, Campaign 2, The Dragon's Return, is 20 quests long and must be completed start to finish in order to play the campaign through. The side quests are integrated into the main campaign itself, so from time to time between quests, the adventurer will be given the choice with pursuing a side quest. This is an optional quest that can be undertaken for more and greater rewards. But it should be noted that the side quests themselves are quite difficult, even more difficult than the mainline campaign quests, oftentimes, so caution should be noted. Further adding to the challenge, while going through the campaign too, the adventurer is not always afforded the opportunity to heal, refresh, and do all their before next quest actions between each quest of the campaign. In other words, the campaign will let you know if you are able to rest and heal before your next quest, testing the adventurer's endurance and their stock of supplies as well. It's a much different experience going into a quest essentially in the same state that you were when you finished the last quest, and adds a new layer of tension in your adventure. If Campaign 1 was concerned with a peculiar goblet, then Campaign 2 is concerned with a peculiar sword. Players will encounter this particular peculiar sword and find that it gets more and more peculiar as the campaign progresses. Similar to the first campaign, this second campaign is absolutely filled with unique situations, scenarios, quest objectives, combat tables, things like that that you just don't encounter or see in non-campaign play. That's what's so unique about these campaigns, is that they offer you, they offer your adventurer, your character, new challenges that they do not see in regular quests. So that's one of the great things about the campaign. It allows you as a player to also challenge your character, your adventurer, that you've grown and developed prior to accepting the challenge of the campaign. That it allows you to challenge that adventurer in new and different ways that are unique to campaign play. Now, you don't have to have played through the first campaign to play through the second campaign, though it's not recommended to go backwards once you've begun a campaign. But yes, you can make The Dragon's Return your first campaign. With that being said, veteran adventurers will know that between the two campaigns, this here second campaign in The Dragon's Return is much more fully featured, fully developed, fully fleshed out, more fully realized than I would say the campaign 1 included in the Adventurer's Companion. That is to say, the Goblin and the Goblet campaign. Putting the two side by side, it almost seems like campaign 1 is really more of an introduction to the campaign play style, with campaign 2, this here, the Dragon's Return campaign, being the real meaty content of a campaign with all the included side quests and everything else. Just like the other campaign, this campaign also uses often unique encounter tables to determine which enemies you will fight in each individual quest. These encounter tables that are particular to their individual quests are often very flavorful and thematic, keeping in with the theme of the particular quest and the location that you're in and the region that you happen to be adventuring in. Some of the side quests also use unique encounter tables. Here we can see the Pool of Lost Souls from the side quest R, the Pool of Lost Souls. You can see a myriad and plentiful amount of undead foes. Look at all those undead enemies. We have zombies, skeletons, banshees, ghosts, mummies, you name it. They're all here. And look at the enemy abilities. Because this is an undead-themed encounter table, look at all the enemy abilities: Fear, Regenerate, Resurrection, Death Touch, oh my goodness, Ethereal. These are tough abilities that you're going to have to get find a way to get past, and these are all in the same dungeon. You'll basically be running into these abilities over and over again. Very, very challenging. But at the same time, look at the loot drops. There's an incredible amount of treasure table rolls on this undead heavy encounter table that's unique to the Pool of Souls quests. You're going to be finding a lot of treasure here. Look at these enhanced rolls. Plus 10, plus 15, treasure A, treasure B. Very cool, very awesome. Another great thing about this campaign and the encounters that you'll have both in the main story as well as the side quests is that those encounter tables draw on the original encounter table from the core book, the encounter table EA from the Adventures Companion, as well as the new encounter table B, which includes new enemies that's included in the Dragon's Return book. So you really have a lot of variety while you're going through the campaign and side quests, because you essentially have a history, 3 encounter tables on which to draw for these enemies, and it's very, very exciting. We'll talk about the encounter table B because it's very unique and like nothing seen so far in D100 Dungeon in a minute here. But first, let's take a look at the art. I want to show you some of these enemies, and the art included in this book is phenomenal, and it's really a step up. I mean, all the art in all the books has been great, but they really went out of their way, really took the art to the next level. Here's an orc with a horned helmet looking very intimidating. This is a very cool image here. I like the scope of this image here. Here's a black dragon. He makes quite an impression when you first meet this black dragon here in the course of the campaign. And of course, they're on the cover, they're in the name of the book. There's lots of dragons, plenty of dragons. Very cool art here, red dragon. And then of course the cover page, very cool. Here's a very neat image that's neither a snarling beast or an armor-clad adventurer. Here's a castle on the hillside here, very cool, with a wall and the battlements there, very cool. Maybe by the time this adventure's done, you'll have some property. Maybe you already have some property. Did you play through the first campaign? Oh my goodness. You should have been able to make use of that if you know what I'm talking about, if you played through the first campaign. Yeah, definitely. That's one of the great things about the campaigns, is that there's loot and rewards that you just can't find on the treasure tables. A lot of real cool equipment even that you can only get through playing the campaign itself. You'll never see this stuff just, you know, playing random adventures. A lot of stuff, including equipment, rewards, treasure, you name it, can only be gotten through playing through the campaigns. Okay, where were we before we got lost in a sea of wonderful art? Ah, yes, the new encounter table and the new enemies on the new encounter table. The Dragon's Return book includes encounter table EB, which is awesome and is useful not only in this second campaign, but in all of your D100 Dungeon adventures. Any kind of game you're playing D100 Dungeon, this new encounter table can be used, and it's awesome. Let's take a look. Now, this is something we haven't seen before in D100 Dungeon. This new encounter table, you can think of it as a combined table. It really includes all the entries from the previous 2 encounter tables, as well as new entries for this specific to this book included, all on the same table, all included, all inclusive in table EB here. It's awesome. All the classics are here, all your table E encounters are here: giant rats, giant bats, giant ants, giant spider. You know them. You fought too many of them already. But simultaneously, also included on the same table with the same roll, are also the encounter A table enemies. Table EA enemies are also included, as well as the new enemies in EB. We can see here that when you roll, say you roll a 68, depending on how you chose to make use of the encounter table before you started your quest, you may have your choice of the enemies presented, which in the case of rolling 68 would be a giant vampire bat, the Valkyries, or an Arachne witch. I encourage you to go back a few moments in this video and press pause on the previous image at the very top where it showed you the rules that you can use regarding the use of this new encounter table and which one suits you. And you'll see that you really have not just a great variety of enemies, but you have oftentimes your choice now when you roll, and it's all handled on a singular encounter table, which essentially is 3 encounter tables, the existing 3 encounter tables all in one with encounter table EB. Very awesome. And that alone is reason to pick up the Dragon's Return book on top of all the other stuff. That alone would be worth it, but you get a bunch of other stuff on top. Very cool. So more story, a new campaign, integrated side quests, a brand new encounter table, awesome art. What else do you get in the Dragon's Return? Well, let me tell you, how about some new weapons? How about new combat options? How about new ways to attack your foes, both armed and unarmed, for the first time? Well, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you the Martial Artistry system. The Martial Artistry system uses all your stats to allow your adventurer to use more advanced weapons and skills that are exclusive to martial artists and those who have mastered the path of martial artistry. Though there is an expensive buy-in of 4,000 gold pieces, the martial artistry system is awesome in that it allows an experienced and skilled adventurer to make new attack maneuvers using advanced new weapons that the adventurer can do more damage with as their skill increases in martial artistry. Let's take a look at the new advanced weapons that can be equipped by a martial artist. You can see a new weapons list. These are the advanced weapons, and you'll see that they have an Eastern flavor. We have everything from shuriken, nunchaku, to katanas, and the like, all of which can be used through martial artistry. You will have to be trained in martial artistry in order to use these new advanced weapons. They have a martial artistry modifier. They often increase your skill in martial artistry. The skill test used when attacking with those weapons, as well as their own damage values. Understand that these weapons may appear to have lower damage values than standard weapons, but understand that most do offer a bonus to your martial arts value, making your martial arts attacks more likely to be successful, as well as being able to be properly dual wielded for extra bonuses. And most of these weapons can even be poisoned by spending a little bit of gold and applying poison before the quest that allows them to do +1 damage. But the big kicker and main reason to use these new advanced weapons is that they have a damage modifier that's tied to what's called your martial arts grade. There are 11 grades of martial artistry from 0 to 10, and the higher your grade, the more you will modify. You'll have a positive modifier on the weapon's damage value. So that katana you have at +2 damage with your martial arts grade of 4 will do +2 and an additional +4 for your skill in martial arts. That's very awesome, and that is a great reason to focus on martial arts and these advanced weapons. attacks using martial artistry and these advanced weapons often have very awesome, cool effects that are exclusive to this martial artistry system. Let's take a look at some of these awesome martial arts exclusive attacks. Here we can see the names of certain special attacks with the penalty that is incurred on the martial artistry roll when you go to make these attacks. You'll notice that the advanced weapons give a bonus, and the attacks themselves, depending on the one you choose, often give you a penalty. The more severe the penalty, the more powerful that kind of special attack is. And you can see that these are not just simple, oh, do more damage, do less damage, more likely to hit, less likely to hit. It's not that simple. A lot of these change the combat mechanics in dramatic ways, and if utilized properly, can really give you an advantage in any kind of fight, but in particular the fights against more powerful foes and particularly boss monsters. And yes, unarmed combat was mentioned, and it is available. Unarmed combat is available to characters who are using martial arts. You don't have to unequip your weapon. You essentially just holster your weapon quickly and use your fists, feet, and anything else available to your body to land crushing blows and sweeping attacks against your foe, and you do it all unarmed using your martial artistry characteristic. You'll notice that there's a lot of equivalent attacks between armed and unarmed martial artistry, but something to note is that the penalties for using these special attacks are a lot less severe when you do them unarmed, so you may find more success with unarmed martial artistry if you're making the attack specifically for the effect and not the damage itself, which may be higher with a weapon, but the effect may be more likely to occur going unarmed. Very cool, very awesome system. Well, that's the Dragon's Return campaign book 2 for D100 Dungeon solo adventure game by Martin Knight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video, this overview. So what all do you get? You get a new campaign. You get side quests that are integrated into the campaign. You get a new encounter table that's all-inclusive. All the enemies that can be fought in D100 Dungeon can be found on a counter table EB that's included. Essentially, that it's just awesome. There's all kinds of different ways to use that encounter table to have your choice of enemies you fight, or which types of enemies you fight from which sets of enemies, things like that. It's very cool. I enjoy that a lot. Martial artistry is awesome. It's really cool. The earlier you can get into it, the stronger it becomes. Advanced weapons are rare. They're rarer than regular weapons, that's for sure. But they offer great bonuses. Proper dual wielding, finally. Unarmed melee combat, finally. And there's reasons to do it. There's very cool reasons to do it. Depending on the situation that you find yourself while you're in combat. It's very, very cool. The D100 Dungeon, the Dragon's Return campaign book 2 is a must. I totally recommend it. I enjoy it a lot. Look, I know what you're saying. Okay, so campaign, some side quests. Okay, that is, yes, true. That is the bulk of the book. But let me tell you, it's awesome. There is so much meaningful, challenging content in this book. The campaign is leagues better than the first campaign. So much so that seems like an introductory campaign, and this Dragon's Return campaign feels more like a fully fledged D100 Dungeon campaign. I love it. You're gonna love it. Really cool adventures, very challenging, geared towards the experience. But this is it. This is the development, the further development of D100 Dungeon, and I'm super excited and very happy with this book. If you wanted to check out more about the Dragon's Return or any of the other awesome products in the D100 Dungeon library and collection, I'd really like to direct you to the main website, MK Games, that features and showcases all these awesome games. Martin Knight really puts a lot of effort into making these games, and they're awesome. If you want to find out more, check out his website. And if you're looking for a community of dedicated D100 Dungeon players just like you, check out the D100 Dungeon page on Board Game Geek, where there's a great community. There's a lot of us there. We answer questions, we ask questions, we share pictures and stories from our adventures, all on Board Game Geek. The forums are hot. Whenever anyone posts something new, people jump all over it. Sometimes there's a lull between posts, but trust me, when people are frantically hitting refresh, waiting for people to post about D100 Dungeon, and we hope to see you there. I hope to see you there. I'm there. I post my videos there. I try not to make a big deal out of it, but I answer questions and stuff, and I ask questions. The creator of the game is there as well. Martin Knight is on, Mighty Martin is on Board Game Geek, so check us out. We hope to see you there. Thanks so much for tuning in to the D100 Dungeon, the Dragon's Return overview and review. This is D100 Superfan. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for watching any of the other videos of mine that you might have watched. I love making these videos. I wish I could had more time to put them out more regularly, but trust me, I do everything I can behind the scenes to make sure these videos get out. And you know, while I'm trying to play for my own enjoyment, D100 Dungeon. But thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much, Mr. Martin Knight, for designing and putting out this great game. This is D100 Superfan signing out.